What's up guys, it's Caitlin B and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the first video of 2023. Let's get it. I also just realized I'm wearing the exact same outfit that I wore in my tier ranking video of 2022. You know, we just love consistency. But today I'm going to be tier ranking every single book that I read in 2022. These are by far my favorite videos to film every single year and I love watching these as well. So if you have one, let me know down below so I can go watch it. And I switched up the tier titles to be more relevant TikTok sounds. I saw a Clockwork Reader do this and I thought it was so funny. I will link her video down below. Very top tier, we have Altered My Brain Chemistry. Okay, these are the Creme De La Creme, the top books of the year. I just absolutely have to read the books in this tier, okay? I'm obsessed with them and I can't stop talking about them. The next tier we have is
a Negroni Magliato with Prosecco in it.
Oh, stunning.
Books in this tier are gonna be books that I still love and are probably a 5 or 4-star read, but I just don't think about them nonstop. The tier below that we have,
okay, I like it, Picasso.
Books in this tier are mid, okay? I like it. I don't love it. Below that we have,
I don't know what's going on and I simply don't want to know.
I definitely have one book in mind that for sure is gonna be going into this tier, so I had to include it. But these are just books that are also mid, but also like, what the fuck did I just read? I wouldn't necessarily recommend them, but I wouldn't necessarily not recommend them. It just kind of, it depends on you. Books in this tier are probably a little unhinged, but I don't hate them. And the bottom two tiers are ones that I do not like. So first we have
Chrissy, wake up! I don't like this!
Self-explanatory, I don't like it. And the very bottom tier is
It is so bad, I want to give you a 0, but that's not possible. So I give you a 1.
if I were someone who could just not finish a book, like DNF a book, then they would probably go in this tier, but I'm not that person and I wish I was. Books in this tier are books that I wish I didn't finish, but I just had to for my own self-sabotage. Love that for me. Let's do this, I'm so excited. The first book that I read this year was Every Last Word by Tamara Ireland Stone. This feels like a million years ago that I read this. Oh my God, I cannot believe that was this year. This was interesting. This was about a high schooler with OCD, I believe, and just kind of navigating life. And it was really interesting. I haven't read a book like that before. Okay, this is hard. I might throw it up in Prosecco level stunning. Throwing it in this tier because the plot twist does still stick with me. Okay, it was a good one. It was a good one. Then I read Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. Such an anticipated read. I was so excited for it. And honestly, it lived up to the hype. I'm gonna throw it in the same tier. I'm gonna throw it in stunning. I don't think about it constantly. I think a lot of people, this is one of their favorite Colleen Hoover books of all time. It's not for me, but I still really liked it. Then I read The Goal by Elle Kennedy, and this was, I think, book 4 or 5 in the Off-Campus series. And I really like a couple of the books from this series, but a couple of, like this one in particular, I remember, it was fine. It was fine. I hate the trope in this book, first of all, and also just how it was done I thought was super unrealistic. I don't know, I just found myself like really just wanting this book to be over. Okay, I changed my mind. I'm gonna throw it in Chrissy Wake Up. I don't like this, but I might move it. Once I have the rest of the books in here, then we might do a little tweaking at the end. Then I read 1,000 Boy Kisses, and this is absolutely altering my brain chemistry level. Okay, I was not prepared for this book. I knew that people cried in this book, but I cried within the first chapter of this. The grandma, it just made me wish that I had a jar like this. It's so sweet. Someone texted me this recently about this book, reading it on planes, so I don't recommend reading this in public. Okay, you've been warned. Then I decided to read In 5 Years, which I cannot believe that was this year that I read this. This feels so long ago, probably because I blocked it out of my memory because I hated it so much. It was not for me. Which, by the way, if I hate any of the books that you absolutely love, like if you love In 5 Years or The Goal, whatever, like please do not be offended. It's so personal, so just because I don't like it doesn't mean you're not gonna like it. The books that I've read by this author tend to have this magical realism kind of element to it, or just this magical element that isn't just really fleshed out enough for me. It doesn't really make sense and I want answers. And I just was not rooting for these characters, so for me that's just like a that's when I check out. Then I decided to read Flock by Kate Stewart, and this is book 1 in the Ravenhood series. This is also on Kindle Unlimited. This is one of those books that I kept seeing all over Book Talk and I was like, I need to know what this book in the series is about. I actually thought, honestly, that this was like a vampire story, which ended up being so weird because first of all, it's not a vampire story at all. However, I kept finding so many similarities. Please, if anyone's read this, let me know if you agree. I kept thinking it was so similar to the Vampire Diaries. First of all, the town name is similar. There's ravens or like this bird element in it. It's a reverse harem, so it's a girl and 2 guys. They're kind of brothers, and one of them, like the good guy, is Sean, and in the Vampire Diaries, it's Stefan. And then we got Damon and Dominic, the bad boys. I'm just saying. I kind of want to throw it in. I don't know what's going on and I simply don't want to know, but I did want to know. It was one of those books that was so confusing. Like you don't know what's going on because the characters are so evasive. They just will not tell the main character what's happening. It was a really slow burn for me. I feel like this was kind of a long book, but I am going to throw it in. I like it Picasso because I did like it. And I especially like chapter 25. If you know, you know. Next, we read The Good Life for my book club. And I kind of remember this book. I remember rating it 4 stars, but after discussing it with my book club, it was more of like a 3.5 star for me. So I'm going to throw it in. Okay, I like it Picasso. It was definitely a really fast-paced thriller. It kept me on my toes. It was good, but it wasn't like the Creme De La Creme thrillers for me. I love a thriller so much. Definitely recommend it. It is on Kindle Unlimited as well. So if you need just like a quick palate cleanser or something to like, if you're in a reading slump, then this would be a good book. Oh, but then you guys, I have recommended this to everybody, but this is the Mindfuck series. This absolutely altered my brain chemistry. You need to read this book, you guys. It is one of the best books I've ever read. Technically, it's 5 novellas and they're really short, so they keep you on your toes. They all end on a cliffhanger, so you want to like rush to read the next one. I will not stop talking about Lana Myers. I'm obsessed with her. This is about a serial killer who ends up dating the lead FBI agent on her case who's trying to find this serial killer, and he has no idea that it's her. And it has me questioning everything that I'm rooting for a serial killer, but if you know, you know. Seriously, if you don't read the Mindfuck series, then I will come for you. The next book I read was Exodus by Kate Stewart. So this is book 2 after Flock. I'm gonna also throw this in Okay, I Like It Picasso. I remember rating this 5 stars, but looking back, I don't know. This book devastated me. I remember we were in Vail and I actually woke Alex up in the middle of the night from choke sobbing and he was like, are you okay? Like he thought something really bad happened and I was like, yes, something bad happened, okay. I was so unwell. She did me dirty. Like I was so pissed and I'm still recovering from this book because of how sad I am that I didn't even finish the last book in the series, which I know I need to finish in 2023 because I need some more answers. Then I read Under One Roof by Ali Hazelwood and I'm gonna throw this in, you know what? Okay, I think I'm gonna throw this in Chrissy Wake Up. I don't like, nope. I'm gonna throw this in. I don't know what's going on and I simply don't wanna know. It was very meh, it was very mid. Then I read the second book in the Steminist novellas, which is Stuck With You, and this one was even worse. So I'm gonna throw this in Chrissy Wake Up. I don't like this. It just, Then I got to meet my man, Huxley Kane, one of my top book boyfriends of all time, a not so meet cute. This altered my brain chemistry, absolutely. I'm so obsessed with this and I'm so happy that I discovered this author, Megan Quinn, this year, and we actually DM all the time. Aside from the immaculate spice in this book, I loved both of the characters, but even more than that, this was one of the only books that I've ever like actually physically started cackling at. Like I was laughing throughout this whole entire book. I thought the scenes were so funny. The Lamaze class lives rent free. Then I read The House in the Cerulean Sea for my book club and I remember thinking this was so out of my wheelhouse. Like this wasn't a book that I would normally go for, but I definitely want to do more of that. This book was so sweet and it's definitely in Prosecco level stunning. Lucy made me tear up. Oh my God. I remember this book being described as like a warm hug and that's absolutely what this feels like. Speaking of comforting, the next book I read was Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan and this is absolutely altering my brain chemistry level. Okay, I love this book. Everything that I want in a book was in Archer's Voice. So if you need to get out of a reading slump, if you also like Colleen Hoover books, then I think you're really gonna like this book. And I also recommend going into it blindly because I didn't even know why it was called Archer's Voice. And then you find out pretty early on why. Even that alone, like I was so shook by. Loved that book so much that I had to rush to read another Mia Sheridan book. So then I immediately read Most of All You. And I'm so sad that I didn't really love this book and I don't know whether to put it in. I don't know what's going on. No, it's definitely better than Under One Roof. So I'm gonna throw this in Okay, I Like It Picasso. The reason why I didn't love this book, and I really thought I was going to, was because it honestly felt like a bootleg version of Archer's Voice. It had pretty much the exact same tropes. It had like the same kind of plot twist. It just seemed like copy paste for me, like just a little bit tweaked. And maybe if I didn't read it right after Archer's Voice, I would appreciate it more. Finally started reading the Addicted series and this one definitely was, this one was stunning level. I really like this book, but it doesn't stick with me because I feel like I need to read the entire series. That's like the problem with me is I start reading series and then I start reading other things. I know people are obsessed with this universe and these characters. I feel like I'm only just starting to get introduced to them. Ricochet is the second book in the Addicted series. I'm throwing it in I Like It Picasso, Don't Come For Me. Next I read One Italian Summer by Rebecca Searle. And I'll be honest, I liked it better than In 5 Years. So for that, I'm gonna throw it in Chrissy Wake Up. I don't like this, but this was so weird. Okay, I just don't feel like her writing is for me. The best part of this book for me was the descriptions of the food, like the tomatoes. I still think about those juicy tomatoes and I do want to go to Italy. But then I read Say You Swear. Oh my fucking God, you guys know that this altered my brain chemistry. This is my favorite books of the year. This is my top tier book boyfriend of all time, Noah fucking Riley. He is my husband. We're actually engaged. Caitlin Riley. Anyway, I will never shut up about this book. You absolutely have to read it. Go into it blindly. It's one of those books that I get the most DMs about. You guys get so pissed at me for recommending this book because of the plot twist, and you're like, I don't even want to finish this book, like blah blah blah. You guys just finish it. Just finish it. You will want to throw the book a couple times and get so pissed off, but then you also want to swoon. Then I read Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score, and honestly, this also altered my brain chemistry. I just thought this book was done so well. Yes, it could have been a little bit shorter. This was definitely long. Say You Swear was also a really long book, but honestly, because I read it on my Kindle, I didn't even notice. Oh my god, and the sequel to this comes out, I think, in February. I am so freaking excited. Speaking of sequels, the next book I read was So Not Meant to Be, which again, I loved A Not So Meet Cute, but this one was just, listen, I'm gonna throw this one. I know this is drama, okay? I'm gonna throw this in. I don't know what's going on, and I simply don't want to know. I don't hate this book, and I still am gonna read the third book because that one comes out, I think, in January. So much miscommunication that it just drove me insane. And the main character, Kelsey, was just so annoying. Also, what was his obsession with pigeons? Can we talk about that? Then I read, oh my god, okay, then I read My Sister the Serial Killer for my book club, and this was so bad. I want to give it a 0. I really thought this book was going to be so good. The writing in it felt so weird. It was so choppy. It was like a period after every couple words. She was just so annoying to me. Like, not only was she an accessory for these murders that her sister kept committing, but she was also so judgmental about everything. The writing really bothered me. Then I decided to go super unhinged and get 2 of my friends to read Credence with me by Penelope Douglas. I knew I just couldn't read this alone, so I got 2 of my girlfriends and I was like, listen, we're reading Credence. And that we did. And I'm going to throw this in. I don't know what's going on, and I simply don't want to know. That is the epitome of this tier. This book was not bad, okay? I liked this book, I'm gonna be honest, and some people like really love this book, and it's so polarizing, but it's just so, it's weird. A girl hooks up with her step uncle and her 2 step cousins. Technically, they're not related. However, she keeps calling him uncle like while they're doing the one of the guys was just not okay. So I didn't like him, but however, I was so invested in this story. I was like, where is this going? What is happening? I was so on edge. It kind of gave me a similar feeling to Flock. Wow, I was so unhinged for a while. Then I read Your Dad Will Do, and yes, Larry reads, you did inspire me to read this. Why? I have no idea, because I know she didn't rate this highly. I feel like I needed a novella and I wanted something spicy, so I was like, let's do it. Why not? I'm gonna throw this in. So bad I want to give it a 0. Honestly, I would rather have read this book than the other 2, so maybe I want to throw it in. I don't like this. Actually, I'm changing my mind. I'm throwing it in the last tier. Not only does she go for her ex's dad, but the entire time she just keeps calling him daddy, and I don't even know what to say about this book. I don't know why I read it. I just needed a quick, spicy read, and that it was. Oh my god, then I read Flow by Kennedy Ryan. This absolutely altered my brain chemistry. I'm so obsessed with this book. I forgot there's one more book in the series that I have not finished yet. I'm also gonna throw in the next book, which was Grip. Flow was the prequel to Grip, so you have to read that one, and then Grip was the first book technically, and then there's one more book to this. This series is so good. It has everything for me. It made me like, it tugged on my heartstrings, but it deals with such heavy topics that I feel like are so relevant. This book and these characters have just stuck with me. It's about a musician and his manager, and it's an interracial couple, and you get to see like the struggles that they deal with both together and also just separately, and it's just so freaking good. I'm now joined by my child, and I fixed the lighting a little bit. It's still so dark out. Why do I talk so much? Oh my god, I need to like shut the fuck up. Moving right along, then I read Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. If you liked Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren, then you are absolutely gonna love this book because it's basically the same book, but honestly, I love them both, and I don't even know which one I like more, but I loved this book. Oh, no, it's not going there. Where do I want to put this? Probably in Alter My Brain Chemistry, honestly. Actually, I'm going to throw it in Stunning because, I don't know, I can't decide. This is so hard. I really love this book, but you get childhood friends to lovers, which is my absolute favorite trope, so maybe it goes at the top of it, I don't know. But there were some things in it that pissed me off in this book. We Might Move You. Then I read Home Before Dark because I was going through Riley Sager's backlist, and he writes amazing thrillers. I'm going to throw this one in Stunning. I really liked his thriller, actually. It has more of a paranormal aspect to it, which I normally don't like in my books, but for this one, I thought it was done so well. Still beating Altered My Brain Chemistry. I'm so obsessed with this book. It's about a girl and her sister's fiance. They basically get kidnapped, and it's super dark, so definitely look up trigger warnings for every single book, but especially that book. This was done so well, though. Oh my god, I need to read more from this author. I forgot how much I love this book. It like stuck with me. I flew through this book in like a day or two. They just go through so much together, and you're like jaws on the floor, also just thinking about being in that situation. Oh my god, freaking crazy. Megan Quinn also came out with a new book, Royally Not Ready, which I like to describe as Princess Diaries. Like, if Mia Thermopolis was spicy, that's what this would be. I'm gonna throw this one in Okay, I Like It Picasso. I actually really liked this book. I thought it was so interesting, and it kept me on my toes. I like this more than So Not Meant to Be, but it's still not like 5-star read for me. Another Riley Sager book I read was The House Across the Lake, and I'm gonna throw this one in I Like It Picasso. If you've seen the movie Rear Window or Disturbia, it's definitely along the same lines of that. I've also read A Woman in the Window by AJ Finn. Hated that book, but I thought this one was done way better. So if you like that kind of Disturbia vibe, spying on the neighbors, then you'll definitely like this one. Next, I read Full Tilt, which this is a super unpopular opinion, but I did not like this book. So I'm gonna throw it in Chrissy. Wake up, I don't like this. And this is rated so highly, so this is definitely an unpopular opinion, but I felt like I was dragging myself through this book to even finish it. I thought it was so boring and I did not like the characters, and it is a duet, but I'm not even gonna finish the other one. I picked this up because people said it was so good and that I was gonna cry. I didn't like it and I didn't cry. Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I loved this book. I'm gonna throw it in stunning because I don't think about it every single day of my life, but I am going through TJR's backlist, and Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones definitely in the top tier for me. If you haven't read her earlier books, I highly recommend them. Loving these storylines. I feel like they're so unique. I also read One True Loves by her, another stunning book. I thought this was so good. We read this for my book club and I feel like a lot of people love this as well. I don't want to give anything away, but definitely read these. I also read her novella Evidence of the Affair, and I feel like this was actually one of the best novellas I've ever read, because normally when you're reading a novella, you don't really get, it's usually insta love and you want more from it, and it's just everything happens way too fast and you feel like you want more meat to the story. But this one was actually done completely through letters of people who their spouses were cheating on them with each other's spouses, so they're kind of relating to each other, and I thought the writing was so beautiful. I felt like I got so much more in this novella even though it was really short. I don't know, honestly I might throw it in stunning. I know this is kind of crazy. I never throw novellas in top 2 tiers usually, but it honestly has stuck with me, so I'm gonna throw it in there. One of the only nonfiction books I read this year was I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy, and I loved this book. I thought it was done so well. Like the writing was so beautiful. I actually listened to this on audiobook, which I highly recommend because she narrates it, and it's just, you can feel like the raw emotion as she's reading this. She went through so much, and just someone who grew up watching iCarly, it was so interesting to see kind of behind the scenes. It's just so interesting to see that it's never as it seems. One of the best memoirs I've ever read. I decided to read a fall novella just to switch it up, and I wanted like a fall spicy book, so I found Anyone and You by Jack Whitney, and I was like, let's do it. Listen, it gave me the fall vibes, but am I thinking about this? No. So I'm gonna throw this in. I don't know what's going on and I simply don't want to know. A lot of you did end up reading it because I talked about it and like shared the dedication page on my TikTok, which was so funny. A lot of you loved it, so pop off. Then I read Magnolia Parks, and honestly, okay, I threw this in stunning. I feel like I might throw this in higher once I keep reading the rest of the series, but for now I'm gonna throw it in stunning. I really liked this book, and I think this is pretty polarizing, but I loved Gossip Girl, and it definitely gives me like the London version of Gossip Girl, Chuck and Blair. It's a very toxic relationship, so if you want something really sweet and loving and like aspiring, you're not gonna get that with this book. But I don't always need that in my book. Honestly, like it's getting redundant for me to read the same kind of storylines over and over again, so it was kind of weirdly refreshing for me. The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James, I would throw this in I Like It Picasso. I've read better thrillers. I kind of felt the same way about All Good People here. I really liked this book, especially at the time that I read it, but then reflecting on it, I think it was really similar to the JonBenet Ramsey case. My jaw was on the floor with the ending of this. Then I read another thriller because I was just on my thriller train. I read Unmissing by Megan Kent, also on Kindle Unlimited. It's super short too, so if you need something to like get yourself out of a reading slump and want a fun thriller, that one is a really good one. Then I read The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling, which is the second book. I can't remember. The first one was The Ex-Hex, which I thought was so fun. I did not love the second book though, unfortunately, so I'm gonna throw this in. I don't like this. I've definitely read worse books, but if you're gonna read that book, I would just read The Ex-Hex and just stop there. Oh my god, talk about an amazing thriller. The Housemaid by Frida McFadden definitely altered my brain chemistry. The only thing is it reminded me so much of a different thriller that I read, and I don't want to say the name of it because if I say it then it's gonna give away the twist, but it was almost the exact same storyline. But I actually like this one better than that other thriller. I remember being so shocked by that other book, and I loved that thriller, but I thought it was too long. One of those books that I just could not put down, and I was so invested. I'm so excited the sequel comes out in February, so I will definitely be reading that, and I think I need to read more Frida McFadden books. Oh my god. Then I read Icebreaker. Absolute brain altering. Okay, Nate fucking Hawkins. He is one of my top book boyfriends of all time. This is a hockey, like college romance. It's about a figure skater and also a hockey player in college. And I am just so obsessed with this book, and I actually liked it more than the Off-Campus series. So if you need a good like sports romance or hockey romance, definitely read this one. The spice in this, you guys, oh my god, I can't. I think about it so often, and it's gonna be a series as well, so I cannot wait. It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. I liked this book. It wasn't brain altering though, so I'm gonna throw it in. I don't know. Oh, this is hard for me. I liked it, but was it yeah, dee dee boop boop. I don't know. This might be tea, but I'm gonna throw it in I Like It Picasso because it's not something that I think about so often. I still love Atlas, okay? Don't come for me. Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I liked it. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna throw it The Perfect Marriage in I Like It Picasso because I still really liked it. I think it was pretty predictable for me, so for that it kind of gets docked, but I still was like kept on a ride and the ending was still kind of crazy. Oh my god, The Idea of You. I'm so pissed that I read this book, you guys. So many people love this book and I had no idea what this was going into it. I actually thought it was gonna be a thriller, but it was not. It was not. Apparently this started as a I keep wanting to say Harry Potter. It started as a Harry Styles fanfic and you can tell, okay, it was so bad. I want to give it a 0. I want to give it a -10. This guy basically is supposed to be Harry Styles and he ends up seducing this 40-year-old mom. She travels the world with him and he's literally like 19 or 20. It was so bad. I was like dragging myself to finish this. I really did not want to finish it, but I was like, maybe it gets better, maybe it gets better. It doesn't. The Holiday Brothers, this was 3 different books, but I threw them all in one just because I feel like I rated them all the same. They were like, okay, I'm gonna throw it in. I don't know if I don't like this or... I'm gonna throw this in I don't know what's going on and I simply don't want to know. They were fine. The first one was The Naughty, the Nice, and the Nanny. I like that one the most. I wasn't that mad that I read them. I really wanted like a holiday novella. However, they didn't even give me Christmas vibes. Like you could read this at any time of the year. The only thing that was Christmassy was that one scene took place at a Christmas party. Resting Scrooge Face, also by Megan Quinn. I actually like this one. Picasso, this was a novella and I wish that it was a longer book because I just wanted more from these people. I thought it was so cute. It was like 2 people who were basically Scrooges and they start being pen pals to each other. I thought it was so cute and I definitely want this to be like made into a movie. Oh my god. Then I read A Merry Little Meet Cute for my book club. We voted for this book. Let me just say, we voted for this back in like September before we knew anything about this book. We knew it was gonna be a spicy holiday book, but we didn't really know anything else about it. And from what we did hear, it was like raving reviews about it. We haven't even had our discussion for a book club yet, but we've been talking every single day in our group chat about it and how much we despise this book. I wish I could give this also a -10. This book was so bad, I don't even want to talk about it. So I don't recommend this. There are so much better holiday books that you can read, like the next book, which is Not So Merry Memories, and I thought this was so cute, so I'm gonna throw this in I Like It Picasso. Obviously there are better books. This one actually, if you read Say You Swear, which absolutely you need to read. Noah Riley, like I said, is my book boyfriend of all time. He is in this book and this is a holiday novella based on like the 2 characters in this make a hotel like experience based on memories because of what happens in Say You Swear, which I don't want to give anything away, but all I will say is you get more Noah Riley in this book. Okay, the last 2 books of the year I read, first was Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. Oh my god, this altered my brain chemistry. I like cried during this book. Also as PMSing, so like that could be it, but this is a nonfiction book and I just heard so many good things about this as like something that you should read if you are especially like a woman in your 20s. It's just a bunch of different essays and they're so good. It's honestly like just what the title says. It's everything that this author knows about parties, dates, friends, jobs, life, and love. How she's changed from her early 20s to her late 20s was so relatable and I was crying, I was laughing. Oh, I just love this book so much, especially the You Are Enough page. I posted on my story because I was like, I am crying. She has like a fiction book called Ghosts, so I really want to read that next. And the last book I read, just finished actually, is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. I freaking love this book. This is one of my top 5 thrillers probably of all time, so it absolutely altered my brain chemistry. Oh my god, I've heard so many good things about this author through Sarah Caroli, so I've been meaning to read her books for so long, and then once I was watching her YouTube videos and she kept talking about her, like this being her favorite author, I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm so glad that I did. This book was absolutely crazy. I just did not know who to trust. I was like, over here, over here. I had so many theories while I was reading this book and I was only correct on one of them. This took me on a ride. I don't want to say anything else about it, but like you absolutely need to read this thriller. But that is my tier ranking. Is that what I want to stick with? Honestly, I feel like I still might move Every Summer After into Stunning. Yeah, I think that seems more correct. Other than that, I think I'm pretty solid on my tier rankings. So here's a little overview. 14 books altered my brain chemistry this year. 11 books were stunning. Honestly, these were pretty much like 5-star reads as well. Pretty much like 4.5 5-star reads. So not bad. 13 books that I liked this year. 5 books were just kind of mid, like I don't really know what I just read. 5 books that I did not like, and then 5 books that I wanted to give a 0. So honestly, could have been worse. I honestly thought I was gonna have more books that I hated, but only 5 was like really, really hated. So I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm dying to to know if you've read any of these books and what you rated them, if you agree, if you disagree. Let's sound off in the comments. I love to hear what you guys think. Even if you hated books that I loved or love books that I hated, let's talk about it. I will link my book club down below if you want to join the best book club ever. It's virtual and we just have like the best community ever, you guys. We are unhinged. And if you want more book content from me, like almost every single day, I post on my TikTok, so I will link that down below at Caitlin B. That is it for me today. I need a glass of wine. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will see you in my next one. Mwah!